Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports, coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France. Of course, you good old boys in Canada. We love you in Africa, the Big C tribe. But there's no one we love more than the good old boys down south. In the land of the free and the home of the brave. The beautiful February the 25th, 2021. Round of the Deportes. Bonjour, Big C. How's it for you good old boys down south?
Well, Charlton, you can't help but love down south. I mean, you're talking about a temperature of 79 degrees today. It was sweaty.
Yep.
But unfortunately, we're looking at rain overnight. So that 79 will go down to 49 and be dripping wet in other ways.
Yeah.
But I want to thank our frontline healthcare workers, our nurses, doctors, first responders, regardless of the weather. They're always on top.
Always on top. I want to say today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you, as well as a fleet of Cadillac cars. Also, all around the world, say Google or Alexa, play Big C Sports Podcast. You will hear from our sponsors. You will hear welcome to the show. I will introduce Big C as the Mystic, and he'll do his thing from 3,000 miles away. And I really do appreciate the way things are growing with Big C Sports. You can follow Big C Sports on Spotify. You can follow Big C Sports on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. But you better have a smart TV, or you'll be sitting there looking at a still picture. Man, I love pausing Big C, but I will never pause on our Veterans Crisis Hotline. They really are experienced, helping veterans and their loved ones get help. Big C, why should everybody care?
Well, Charlton, our veterans have been such an important part of American society. Unfortunately, we lose some 24 a day to suicide in this country, Charlton. We give out the National Suicide Prevention Hotline number, Charlton, but we need greater emphasis from all Americans trying to stop this horrific suicide rate amongst our great veterans in this country. Do all that you can to help a veteran anytime you see one. I know we have veterans that are financially, mentally, and physically destitute in this country, Charlton.
Yep.
And with all that's going on, they seem to be the forgotten part of society with COVID-19 and all the unemployment problems that everybody has. But you got to understand, those veterans are afflicted by the same things that everybody else has.
That's right.
In American society, plus the traumatization of being at war. So we give out the National Suicide Prevention Hotline number, Charlton, but we need all Americans to do their part.
We love doing our part, Big C. Very well said. 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And you can definitely get some help for our veterans and their families. Also very happy to be affiliated with Valley Homes Weekly TV on Dish TV, Direct TV, AT&T Uverse, TV 53, home of the San Francisco Giants and the Say Hey Kid, as well as the home run king Barry Bonds. When you reach out to them, just tell them Big C sent you. Our goal is simple: recruit 10,000 real estate agents and brokers all over this great country, putting people back to work just like McDonald's does it, car dealerships do it, sports teams are doing it. Watch TV and real estate work for you. 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. If you're looking for opportunities in real estate, go to bigcsports.pacwm.com. Most of our loans are underwritten by Rocket Mortgage on the wholesale side, and I really do appreciate everything that's growing with Big C Sports. I also want to say thank you to Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight for presenting Big C Sports to the universe, just like God said. Let there be light. Open your cell phones and just say it. Play Big C Sports Podcast. You will see all of our apps pop up, and I really do appreciate the way things are growing with Big C Sports. Big C, I know sometime again, I was talking to another friend of mine today. He said, Charlton, it's so hot. Are you sure we didn't sleep past the wintertime, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, you know, it's unfortunate, Charlton, but trees are starting to bud already. Grass is turning green.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we're going to have another cold wave that's going to damage those trees. But I'm not ready to start cutting my grass.
And I've got these allergies. And the allergies grow a lot here in my nose in California. Something making my nose itch is all fair in love and war. But we take the good with the bad. It's always raining or sunshine in some place in the universe. Really appreciate that. I also want to say, I always thank our fans in Africa, Big C. I know it's Black History Month, but we're getting a lot more followers. Big C Sports Podcast is growing in Cairo, Egypt. Now, Egypt has 55 countries in the continent of Africa, Big C. Cairo, Egypt has 9.2 million people. And the Nile River flows through Egypt. Per biblical times, even Moses was floated down the Nile River, Big C. And so I really appreciate the growth. Also, premier national soccer team known as the Pharaohs, Big C. The Pharaohs was the first African team to join the World Cup in 1934. The premier Egyptian league consists of 16 clubs, and we really want to thank them for following Big C Sports. Big C, hopefully we can bring the Big C Burger to Cairo, Egypt. You know, it comes with exotic meats, and everything goes great with the Budweiser Zero. It has 0% alcohol, and it goes great with the Big C Burger. Would you believe that Eddie Murphy, known as Prince Zamunda, is coming back to America? He's also trying to get the Big C Burger, Big C. Their movie premieres on March the 5th on Amazon Prime, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, if it's anything like the first coming to America, Charleston, it'd be a chuckling event.
Yeah, it would be a wonderful event, but I really do appreciate the people from Cairo, Egypt, listening to the Big C Sports Podcast. Really do appreciate that. Hopefully they understand. I know they love soccer more than they do football. I was thinking last night, Big C, about a lot of transactions that may or may not happen. I want to run down some thoughts and share my thoughts with you on some ideas that seem realistic when it comes to the NFL. Think about all the trades that could happen, that could really significantly affect teams' plans in 2021. I want to examine some potential trades, Big C, and I think it will be something that may happen. Some of them may happen, some may not happen. But when you think about it, going forward, while these transactions are purely hypothetical, we'll keep them within the realm of realistic possibilities, meaning that factors like draft capital and also a cap space will be considered. So you brothers over in Cairo, Egypt, listen up to Big C Sports. It may happen, it may not, but we'll just put our thoughts on it. The Baltimore Ravens, think about this. If it trades Orlando Brown Jr. to the Carolina Panthers, now think about the Baltimore Ravens tackle Orlando Brown Jr., Big C. He filled in at left tackle for Ronnie Stanley in the final 11 games of the 2020 season. Now it appears he's not interested in moving back to the right side of the line. So the trade, I'm thinking Baltimore receives a 2022 first-round draft pick, and then Carolina Panthers can receive Brown, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, I think that would help both teams out, Charleston. I mean, Orlando Brown understands playing left tackle is a higher earning position, and he doesn't want to go back to the right tackle because you're protecting the quarterback's blind side at the left side. But, I mean, that move to the Panthers where this team is young and on the move but up, Charleston, once they solidify themselves at quarterback, it would help both teams out.
Yeah, why is it so difficult if you're playing tackle? Why is moving from left to right difficult? Receivers do it all the time. They either line up on the left or the right side. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you're not dealing with the angles of pass, rush, and blitzes, Charleston,
Yeah.
when you're a receiver. As an offensive lineman, you got to have different play call schemes. You're looking at different angles of the blitz. The quarterback, you know where he's going to be on one side versus the other. So there's a lot more technical issues when you're playing offensive tackle than it is at receiver.
I think we saw that in Super Bowl 55 with the Kansas City's makeshift offensive line. There's another thought. Just want to throw it out to you, Big C. The Las Vegas Raiders. I don't want to see this happen, but it's just a thought. If they were to trade Derek Carr, the last quarterback to take the Raiders to the playoffs, if they send him to the Bears, that would provide Chicago with a quality starting quarterback to pair with his playoff-ready roster. The Bears' quarterback search would be over at least for the next couple of off seasons. Meanwhile, you have the Las Vegas Raiders. They would either be in the hunt for a new signal caller or try to build around backup Marcus Mariota, who I think has a lot of miles left in him. The trade, just give it some thought. Chicago receives Carr. The Raiders receive a 2021 first-round pick and a 2021 second-round pick, and backup quarterback Nick Touchdown Foles. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, ever since John Gruden has been with the Raiders, he's been establishing draft capital. This trade would reunite Carr with a former teammate, Khalil Mack, Charlton.
Yep.
And we saw what happened to Chicago when Khalil Mack went over there. They became a playoff team.
Yeah.
Now you put Derek Carr in that situation at quarterback, and they have a playoff-ready quarterback. So this would really elevate Chicago to the second-best team in that division.
And Big C, it might be the best chance for a touchdown Derek Carr to get back to the playoffs, and that's just my opinion. Another thought I want you to chew on, Big C, not chewing on like the Philly cheesesteak, but more like the Big C burger. The Philadelphia Eagles, if they trade Zach Ertz to the Cincinnati Bengals, swapping first-round selections and then conveying a day 3 pick that might be enough to get a deal done. Cincinnati, meanwhile, they would add a Pro Bowl caliber tight end to its receiving core, and they're going to have a second-year quarterback in Joe Burrow, still remaining in position to grab one of the top offensive linemen in the 2021 draft. The trade, Big C, Cincinnati receives Ertz and the 6th overall pick in 2021. Philadelphia, they received the 5th overall pick in 2021 and a 2021 5th round as well. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, this would be beneficial for Cincinnati because you have another proven receiver that can benefit Joe Burrow coming back off that gruesome knee injury.
Yep.
I mean, the difference between the offensive linemen that are available in the offseason, Charlton, in the draft, the top 3 offensive linemen are all basically equal. You save yourself some draft capital moving down to number 5, picking an offensive lineman.
Yeah, and it's easy. It's easy on paper, but sometimes people just need to change a different pair of shoes, and sometimes life's a lot better when you try on a different pair of shoes. It's all fair and love and war, Big C. I want to take you to a trade that I still think has one of the best receivers, not just in football this year, but maybe over the past, 10 years, potential-wise, Big C. Atlanta Falcons, if they were to trade touchdown Julio Jones to the Baltimore Ravens, that would really make Baltimore strong. Jones is only 32 years old, Big C. He's still one of the toughest players to cover when he's healthy, despite playing just 9 games in 2020. Would you believe he still finished with 51 receptions? He had 771 yards, Big C, 3 touchdowns. You think about Marquise Brown. He led the Ravens with 769 receiving yards in 2020. He played all 16 games. His numbers are not much different than Julio Jones. This deal would give Baltimore, in my opinion, the number 1 receiver has been missing while leading the Falcons. General Manager Jerry Fontenot, giving him more ammunition. Coming in the rebuild, Big C, you trade Baltimore receiver Jones. Atlanta receives a 2021 first-round pick. I think it would really make Baltimore more Super Bowl ready, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, it would eliminate the excuses that you use for Lamar Jackson not having a quality receiver to go to. You talked about Jones playing in just 9 games, and his numbers were superior to Marquise Brown, who played 16 games, 7 more games than what he did, and Jones had more superior numbers. He's one of the most top-flight receivers in the NFL. It would give their offense credibility because they don't have a big play receiver, and Lamar Jackson will have somebody other than just the tight end to throw the ball to.
Could you imagine with Superman Jackson, that run-pass option where he fakes the dive and then he pulls it out to run, having a receiver like Julio Jones that could get over the top, and he probably cannot outrun Superman Jackson throwing 50, 60 yards downfield. That makes their offense a lot more potent. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, he's going to have to get rid of the run-pass option because Jones can still separate from people, and he's going to need to get the ball out of his hand, get him one-on-one, not allowing his safety opportunity to come over the top. But you don't need a run-pass option with Jones. He's never had it in Atlanta.
Yeah, he's amazing. And if he can get open with Ryan throwing, imagine having a guy that makes a defensive back sweat when you got Jackson with a chance to run or pass. And Ryan didn't give you that, and he still got over 700 yards and played half the season, all fair and love and war. I don't think Arthur Blank's going to like that thought for Big C. But if you think about this, too, another opportunity for a former Super Bowl MVP to get back into the playoffs. And just give it a thought. I know a lot of guys don't think about anyone being a Super Bowl MVP moving on. But think about this. If touchdown John Elway, the Denver Broncos trade Von Miller. Man, Von Miller's still a stud. If they trade Von Miller, MVP of Super Bowl 50, Big C, to the Cleveland Browns, you look at how good Cleveland is now. If Cleveland cannot land J.J. Watt, I think Miller's a much better player to go at, period. They could trade Miller. It could be a terrific plan B if you think about it. Doing so would make one major need answered off the board: free agency. The draft while producing a potent pair of pass rushers. How does Denver get away with doing something that foolish, getting rid of Von Miller? It would really benefit Cleveland. But for Denver, the trade would provide clarity about Miller's future, Big C. It would generate tons of extra cap space. The trade, Cleveland receives Miller, who's a Super Bowl MVP on defense, and Denver receives a 2021 third-round pick. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, he's coming off an ankle injury, Charlton, where he cost him all of last season. That Super Bowl MVP was years ago. He's under a federal investigation also, so Denver's not so sure about his future off the field or even on the field with his health issues, Charlton. So if he can go to Cleveland and rekindle any part of the past of his career, when you talk about Watt and Miller, those are the top two sack leaders in the NFL over the last 10 years. They're number one and number two. So either way, Cleveland would benefit by getting one of those players in the Hall.
Oh, my goodness. And they got a good old boy that likes to go out and play basketball. You don't want to do that. You might tear up a knee. I mean, they gave $100 million, and they got the best defensive player, Myles Garrett, going out playing basketball. Not a smart thing to do. But if you were to add Miller on one side of the ball, or even Watt, the other side, who they already have in Garrett, if he doesn't fool around and tear up his knee playing basketball, Big C, I think Cleveland would immediately jump to the top, at least in their division, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, the defense was solid last year in Cleveland. Their problem is at quarterback. So the defense would stay steady. You need to find the quarterback consistency in their offense.
Yeah, Baker touchdown Mayfield. He may get better this year. We'll just decide what happens in the offseason. So think about this. We talk about Cleveland. Cleveland is a team that, going back to the days of Bernie Kosar, also Jim Brown, maybe locking on more playoff doors, Big C. If Cleveland trades David Njoku to the Patriots, you know, Belichick's going to do his thing. He's going to have a lot of players that held out last year that are not going to be holding out this year. So, you know, the Patriots are going to be back in the saddle. But New England would fill a huge need by adding a tight end that's oozing with pass catching potential, Big C, and upgrade the receiving core for the team's next signal caller. It may still be Cam Newton. I would hope they would give him another chance, but we'll see. The New England receives Njoku. Cleveland receives a 2021 fourth-round pick. Big C, your thoughts?
I mean, this is something that New England has built their offense around for the last decade, the tight end position. You saw that lacking last season. David Njoku is a bona fide tight end in the NFL. He was all-pro just 2 years ago, but when they signed Austin Hooper last offseason, who was another all-pro tight end, that made the move of Njoku possible in a trade.
Let me get your thoughts on Odell Beckham Jr. I know Cleveland found a way to get to the playoffs. In fact, found a way to win a first-round game. Some people said he had too much pressure from Odell Beckham Jr. saying, throw me the ball. A lot of guys wanted the ball. Keyshawn Johnson wanted the ball. Jerry Rice wanted the ball. Terrell Owens wanted the ball. They all wanted the ball, Big C. Every great receiver says, throw me the ball. Randy Moss said, throw me the ball. Chris Carter said, throw me the ball. Do you think Cleveland would make more sense to just bring back Odell Beckham Jr. or send him to another team because they got into the playoffs without him, Big C? Your thoughts?
I'm looking for the first team that would make a trade for me to take Odell Beckham Jr., Charlton, because he's not an asset to the Cleveland offense. This is a run-based offense. You don't need a big-mouth, high-profile receiver to get through what you have to do offensively. If you don't get a ball to Hunt, Chubb, Charlton, you're never going to win. So Odell Beckham is not going to make you better offensively.
Yeah, well, he does stretch the field, but they do have a solid running game if they could turn it around and hand it off more. I think that's why they had such success in the 2020 season. I want to take you down to the heart of Texas, the south part of Texas, beautiful city called Houston, Big C. There's so much talk about what will Houston do. They were in the playoffs just last year, the AFC Championship game. They had a big lead. Kansas City came back and took the lead, not because of touchdown Deshaun Watson's fault, but he's a, you know, there's a song by, I think his name was Kenny Rogers. He said, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, and know when to run. Big C, if Houston trades Deshaun Watson to the 49ers, I think that puts the 49ers right back in the NFC playoffs, maybe even championship game, while Jimmy Garoppolo may not outright replace Watson. When you think about this, he could serve as a placeholder while Houston searches for his next franchise signal caller. I think that's a potential move that would be like, Houston, we have liftoff. That's just my opinion. But think about this. That potential move It would alter the plans of both franchises quite a bit. Houston's likely going to be on the market for a quarterback who can compete with Garoppolo, while San Francisco, if they're smart, would spend the rest of the offseason trying to forge a roster that could make a run. And they would if they bring in Watson, Big C. So here's the trade I want you to chew on. Houston receives Garoppolo, a 2021 first-round pick, a 2021 fourth-round pick, and a 2022 first-round pick, and a 2022 third-round pick. And San Francisco receives maybe the hottest quarterback on the market, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, he's not on the market, but they would get a great asset for their offense, Charlton. If they could do anything about rekindling that offense from 2 years ago and add Watson to it, I think it would be an outstanding maneuver and a great coup for the 49ers offensively. But, this is one of those hard trades to call because Watson wants to leave. Houston doesn't want to let him go.
Yeah.
Everybody keeps saying that Garoppolo is going to stay in San Francisco. But I think it would be an asset move for both franchises. You're going to be retooling in Houston regardless, whether you keep Watson or not. You don't have enough assets on that organization to make a playoff run.
Yeah. Now, I'm biased, so that's why I was thinking, how about just bring Watson to San Francisco? The 49ers are the only NFL football team left in Northern California. The Raiders went down to Las Vegas. They like bright lights and bushy tails and all that stuff. Big C, if that makes sense to you. If the 49ers are smart enough to make that move happen, they would have a similar quarterback in what they had in Colin Kaepernick, also Steve Young. But what would Houston get with Jimmy G? He has been the winningest quarterback since he's been on the roster in San Francisco. Big C, your thoughts?
You're going to get a bona fide quarterback, whoever gets Jimmy G, if he leaves San Francisco. You got to look at a guy, Charlton, who in his NFL career, he's 27-8 as a starter overall, combined New England and San Francisco. When you look at San Francisco's other starting quarterbacks, when Jimmy Garoppolo was hurt, they are 7-25 as starters. So when you think about having a quality quarterback in San Francisco, that's what you need. Those backups are backups for a reason.
Yeah, and plus Jimmy G, he did guide the 49ers to the Super Bowl. Even though it was their defense in their run game, he was the guy calling the signal. So it's all fair and love and war. He has been injured too, though. That's something they also want to look at if you're thinking about what Houston might do. So that's just my thoughts. I know you're good old friends over in Cairo, Egypt. Hopefully you appreciate America's version of football more than soccer, but it's all fair and love and war. I want to take you inside when it sticks with the NFL, Big C, kind of a dual legacies of the NFL's players union boss, DeMaurice Smith. When you think about it, invaluable leverage of guaranteed labor peace for another decade. A bright mind, the owners believe they could secure a 100% increase in broadcast rights. That would be a windfall worth tens of billions of dollars with a B, Big C. The cornerstone of the league's proposal in June of 2019, it had been to expand the regular season for the first time since the 1978 season from 16 games to either 17 or 18 games. And players may or may not like that, Big C. But think about this. For years, management floated with a longer regular season. I know a lot of players don't like that, but the notion was always proudly dismissed by players and also Smith as a cynical money grab, but not incidentally, Big C. It would pose greater risk for their health and safety. This time, the owners were a lot more serious, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, the thing about the younger players in the NFL, Charlton, they don't always know the history of the league and how things have gotten to where it is today, where they can make the copious amounts of cash that they make. They have to understand these negotiations go way back. You talked about 1978.
Yeah.
When the league was last talking about the expansion of the schedule. And so this is something that's going to take place. We talked about it yesterday. But this is the risk. I mean, whether you look at regular season games or preseason games, Charlton, the NFL has always been saddled with 20 games prior to the playoffs. Yeah,
you got to get it out preseason, regular season, and then they've always figured it out. So few player reps, when you think about it, knew that in 2006. The CBA collective bargaining agreement, negotiated by former Raider and Hall of Famer, the late legendary Gene Upshaw, Big C, the owners won the authority to expand the regular season to 18 games. But think about Smith, Big C. He negotiated the language that an expansion could occur only with the NFL Players Association approval. It proved to be a powerful bargaining chip. Now Smith had extricated a handful of concessions from owners for an added gain. And we saw that this past season, Big C, including more time off for players, and an immediate 20% increase in a player's minimum salary to $610,000 a year. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, see, this is the thing that players don't understand, and this is why I always advocate for reading and understanding what you're looking at. The minimum salary last season, Charlton, was $358,000. Think about that. $358,000. Now it's going to go to $610,000, Charlton.
Yep.
So the players are getting this increase in salary. So, I mean, it's not like they're getting this extra game and no compensation.
Yeah, it's just another. If you're able to play in the league, there's always going to be a tug of war. But the money is going through the roof, especially as we get this past this COVID, and a lot of players are going to benefit by having a good union, and it's just my opinion. When you think about the union leader, before we come up on the Big C pause, Big C, when you think about the union leader, it's nearly an impossible job. You can't please everybody. You're trying, despite limited power, to please a spectrum of people and personalities. One of the few ways Smith to rally the players was to turn Goodell into the enemy. Now, Smith sought out a public platform as a willing and aggressive antagonist, my opinion, of NFL management, and in some cases, Big C, of his own CBA. I think Smith seized on two issues. It was player health and player safety, while Goodell became the cowboy and the judge and the disciplinary authority. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, players are always thinking about the bottom line dollar. You know, they want more for less when it comes down to playing. But I don't think anybody's willing to turn down their job in the NFL because of an extra game.
or an extra paycheck. We know nobody's going to do that. So Smith countered the league's 17-game proposal, seeking a larger share of the total revenue. This was smart. Up from 47% to 50%. That's been a long-time goal of the players, Big C. And the league replied with an increase to the union's percentage of 48%. So they kind of met them halfway in the middle, Big C. The league has not broken the union, and I think they have great advocacy in DeMaurice Smith. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, anytime you can get an increase in revenue sharing, and when you talk about tens of billions of dollars on the table, I just wish that the NFLPA would think about the old-time veteran players, Charlton, that laid the groundwork for them to be at this point now, where the minimum salary is going to be $610,000 a year, Charlton. You had players 30 years ago in the NFL, 40 years ago, let's go 40 years ago in the NFL, never made $600,000 in a season.
Isn't that something? And it's just the way it is and the way money goes. But I would think you're right. Set up some type of pension for players to get taken care of. O.J. Simpson, whoever worked with his pension, Big C, he hasn't worked in many, many moons, and he still has money coming in for his life. I think it's called an IRS 7702 plan. You would think the NFL could grandfather in some clauses to help the older players, but do you think that's just, hey, we're talking about it, maybe there's a flicker of hope? Big C, your thoughts?
You got to understand, O.J. Simpson made smart investments, and all the companies that he worked with outside of football, he had investment money coming from them. You got to understand, he used to own Honey Baked Ham, Charlton. And Rob Kardashian, who was his lawyer and friend, set him up with a great annuity.
And you would think there are other people like that who would do the same for a lot of NFL players. It's just a thought. It's all fair and level war. We're going to take
players want to buy houses, cars, and jewelry, Charlton.
You got to have that $1 million piece of gold around your neck. I understand. It's all fair and level war. We're going to take what's called the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. When we come back, I'm going to throw this thing called a basketball. I know you brothers over there in Cairo, Egypt, you like basketball too. Not as good as soccer, but you like basketball too. When we come back, we'll talk about basketball. And in the words of the great Arnold Schwarzenegger, we'll be back. All right, we are back from the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the #1 podcast network in the universe, iHeartRadio podcast. You can follow Big C Sports on Apple Podcasts. You can follow Big C Sports on Google Podcasts. There's so many apps, and I really do appreciate the way things have grown with Big C Sports. If you're in Cairo, Egypt, or anywhere in the world, just pick up your phone. And I want to say thank you to Xfinity, Comcast, and Comcast Spotlight for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like God said, let there be light. Open your cell phones and just say it. Play Big C Sports Podcast. You will see all of our apps pop up, even in Cairo, Egypt. And I really do appreciate the growth of Big C Sports. Big C, they say that Moses was floated down the Nile region Even Jesus has some, I guess he washed his feet in the Nile also. You think they were trying to find the Big C Sports Podcast? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I'd have been more worried about those Nile crocodiles out there tomorrow instead of putting my feet in.
We told you we have the Big C burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with exotic meats. It's all fair. And love it more. Man, I really appreciate doing the Big C Sports Show. I kind of feel like I don't want to talk about what I'm going to talk about because you Southern guys, you have no appreciation for West Coast basketball. I told you the West would win the game last night, Big C. And Utah, last I checked on the map, was part of the West. There's some hurting going on for my friends down in Los Angeles. And maybe they could use some type of libation to make them feel better. So maybe you want to send some of the libation down to LAX, Big C. As if the Los Angeles Lakers weren't already struggling enough, heading into Wednesday's game against the Utah Jazz. A blowout 114-89 loss only highlighted the gut that the defending NBA champions are in. This is a franchise with 17 world championships, Big C, only matched by the Boston Celtics. They're having their own problems. The Lakers led by as many as 29 points, and they have their fourth loss in a row and fifth loss in the past 6 games. You think about LA Lakers, you think about, in my opinion, the best basketball player ever to play for the Lakers, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I wonder what he's thinking. You have the great Magic Johnson, what he thought, Big C. You got guys like Shaquille O'Neal, the late Kobe Bryant, whether it's Kurt Rambis, no matter what it was, Big C. So many great players have played in that gold and purple uniform, and now you have King LeBron James. These are not the George you're looking for, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I mean, they're human. That's the thing you got to look at. You know, going into the game that, when you looked at Utah, they were the best team in the West.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're a fan, you're only thinking that the Lakers were better than Utah. But Utah went out last night to prove a point. We are the best.
Yeah.
So bring on those guys who won the championship last year because it's not this season.
Yeah.
And they put it to them, Charlton. I mean, this is a team that was dominant from start to finish. You talked about earlier, them having a 27-point lead in the first half. They never looked back at the Los Angeles Lakers. And people think about Anthony Davis being out of the lineup. You can't use that as an excuse because the Lakers are not playing defense. And when you think about the number of three-point shots that the Jazz knocked down on the Lakers, no big man was going to stop those.
No, and Donovan Mitchell, that brother, he deserves the Big C burger. It is a tasty burger. It comes with exotic meats, and you get it great with the Budweiser Zero. It has 0% alcohol, and it goes great with the Big C burger. Donovan Mitchell was doing his thing last night, Big C. The Lakers, there's still not enough reason to panic in LA, Big C. They're still number 3 in the West. But think about this. This is guys like Kareem. You got guys like Magic Johnson that care so much about this franchise. Shaquille O'Neal, they care about the Laker franchise. And I know they have to stomach a little bit of, like, what they call Pepto-Bismol. They may have had some Pepto-Bismol last night watching this game. Because you don't expect that with King James. That's not what he came to town for. The 4-game losing streak matches the longest streak the Lakers have had in the past 2 seasons. The Lakers still, though, Big C, the bright side of the moon, it shows they're still third for now in the Western Conference, standing at 22-11. They're not playing anywhere near as well as the record would suggest, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, they got off to an early start, but you see how the Lakers have played, Charlton, against teams with winning records. They have a losing record against teams with winning records. So, yes, you can go out there and beat up on the weak sister and get that false sense of reality when you're a fan looking at their records and, wow, look at them. They're 22-11.
Yeah.
But in reality, Charlton, those 11 losses, 10 of them came against teams with winning records.
Yeah, and that's the caveat. And a lot of their wins, a couple of their wins, a handful of them, came in overtime. I mean, even their last loss to Washington came in overtime. But some of their wins came in overtime. But, hey, you're not going to turn them back. You're not going to turn back the hands of time and bring Kareem out to do some extra push-ups. Magic Johnson can still dribble, Big C. Shaquille O'Neal might have more fun just, if he could go down there and hound the middle of the paint, Big C, until Davis gets back. It wouldn't hurt if they tried. But the Lakers, they did keep pace with Utah, especially if you think Utah's the best team in the West. The Lakers kept pace with them in the first quarter at Vivint Arena. They trailed 24-23 after one quarter, Big C. Think about this. Before the Jazz erupted in the second and third quarters, outscoring the Lakers 66-41 to break the game open. I was telling you that Kuzma's not the guy. He's supposed to be a third option for the Lakers, but they really need to have a full, healthy roster. But I do agree with what you saw last night, too. I never thought I would have seen a Laker team that did not even make an effort to play defense. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Frank Vogel is supposed to be a defensive genius, Charlton, but when you talk about a team that's playing lackluster, you got to understand the Lakers, when they won a championship last year, they were playing in a bubble.
Yeah.
They didn't have to travel. This is an older team in the NBA. They got to spend a lot of road time, Charlton, this year. Everybody talks about Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis has never made it through a season in the NBA.
Yeah.
He has always found a reason to be hurt.
Yeah.
So you can't count on him. You got lucky last year with some food goals because they stayed in the bubble. But this year, Charlton, reality came home to the Lakers.
Yeah. It didn't. Reality don't taste too good sometimes, Big C. I know it's not too much of a reason to panic, but at the same time, my conscious mind, because I've been loving Laker basketball since I was a little boy, Big C. But the Lakers have 4 more games before the much-needed All-Star break. However, Big C, what they got to pay attention to, the next 3 of those 4 games, they're at home against Portland, Golden State, and Phoenix, Big C. But all coming against teams that have winning records, and they don't mind kicking you when you're down, Big C. Your thoughts?
And all 3 of those teams, Charlton, shoot the three-point shot very well.
Yeah.
And that's the Achilles heel right now of the Los Angeles Lakers, is that they're not playing defense, and you're playing against some guards in Booker, Curry, and Lillard who will launch the 3 anytime they come across half court.
Yeah. So they're playing 3 of maybe the 5 top 3-point shooters, at least coming in from the Western Conference, coming in to Los Angeles. They landed at LAX. Curry might even shoot from LAX. Big C, Curry and Damian Lillard might shoot from LAX. They shoot the 3-point basket so well. So the Lakers got to figure out if they want to play defense or if they want to just wait for Davis to get back in town. But I think they have a lot more trouble than that. That's my opinion. They don't have JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard. You notice it when those broad shoulders of those big 3 couldn't come off the bench last night. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, the Lakers, like I said, you're thinking about last year's Lakers.
Yeah.
This is this year's Lakers. A team that's a year older, that is not as athletic as the team was last year, and plus they're not playing in the bubble. So they got a lot of rest by not having to go on the road, Charlton. And even the teams that they were playing in the bubble, all of them didn't have great winning records, and they show that the age of the Lakers is really rearing its face right now.
Yeah, father time. There's a reason that the great scoring leader in the history of the universe, Greene, retired because of age, not because he stopped loving the game. It's all fair and love more. Big C, I want to go down to the place where everybody loves chicken wings. I feel bad for chickens down in the state of Georgia because they must scatter when the farmers come out looking to have something to eat. The Atlanta Hogs, Big C, Danilo Gallinari put on a historic shooting performance to send the Celtics to their 4th loss in 5 games. Again, the Lakers and the Celtics, they lead the NBA with 17 world championships, but that's going back many, many moons. But even if they couldn't have been expecting nights like Wednesday against the Boston Celtics, especially Big C, the way Gallinari had started the season, Boston's also leaking some oil, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, they've been playing subpar basketball, Charlton. This is a team that's under 500. They're not living up to the expectations. You think about 2 players that they lost off of the roster when they lost Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward, Charlton.
Yeah.
Gordon Hayward's averaging 24 points a game in Charlotte. Kyrie Irving is in and out of the lineup in New Jersey. But both of those guys were stabilizing forces with their new teams. And, Boston has suffered some injuries and don't have the depth that they had.
Yeah, Brooklyn doing their thing with the great Kyrie Irving, Big C. I guess the Boston Celtics are a lot better team without Kyrie Irving, if that makes sense to you, and Gordon Hayward. But think about this, Big C. It's not all gloom and doom. We still have the All-Star break coming up. Perhaps all we really needed was a game against the down-and-out Celtics, setting the Hawks. Think about this. With all the great shooters, Trae Young is amazing, but setting the Hawks record with 10 made 3-pointers. It looked like Steph Curry was down there playing for the Atlanta Hawks, Big C. 10 3-pointers on his way to a season-high 38 points, led the Hawks to 127-112 win. He also became, get this, Big C, just the 3rd player in NBA history to hit at least 10 threes. Think about this after coming off the bench, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, that means he was able to sit down and adjust his sights on his sniper rifle, Charlton, and knock down a few of them leprechauns.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend of mine this morning with the Council of Elders, and he grew up down in Alabama. And he said that when they would go out and get chicken, he would have to go wring the chicken's neck. That's how his grandmama taught him to go out and get the chicken. Not like Moo Williams and them good old boys down at the club down in Atlanta. But they were wringing some necks of Boston last night. It's amazing how well that guy shot the three-point basket. It's all fair and level word, Big C. Think about this. This was just a pure shooting clinic from Gallinari, who remarkably scored 16% of his total points from the season in this just one game. I guess it's not so bad coming off the bench. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, he's had an injury-prone start of the season, Charlton. Hasn't been in the lineup much. Matter of fact, he had missed a stretch where he missed 12 games at one point after having his knee scoped.
Yep.
But he seems to be fine now and getting that lift off the floor.
Yeah, he's getting the lift off. I'm sure the Lakers might be making some phone calls to see if he wants to come off their bench. It's all fair and level war. Speaking of the Splash Brothers, because he was auditioning for the Splash Brothers last night, the Warriors, they did use a late run to pull away from the Indiana Pacers. It was 111-107. You have three-point shooting. Steph Curry struggled a little bit to make baskets. Draymond Greene never saw a personal foul he didn't want to commit, Big C. But he also gave the Golden State Warriors a boost of energy. His numbers were 12 points, 11 assists, 9 rebounds, 3 steals. Only told part of the tale on the night. Golden State made his season low 19.2% from three-point range, Big C. Curry scored just 24 points, but he was 7 for 21 from the field, but 1 of 11 behind the arc, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, the true story about the Golden State Warriors are Draymond Green. We know that Steph Curry is one of the league's leading scorers, averaging 30 points a game, but this team seems to go as Draymond Green has gone for the last several years, Charlton. You talk about a multifaceted player. I mean, he was
amazing. He's amazing.
Away from having a triple-double last night, but his total impact, what he brings to the Golden State Warriors with his hustling and enthusiasm and motivating his teammates, Charlton, is outstanding. I mean, this is a player who will never get an MVP vote, but it's hard to say he's not the MVP of the Warriors.
Yeah, I'm going to just bring up a point because there's so much talk in Bay Area media. It's always when I'm driving across the Bay Bridge you hear it, Big C. Oh, Draymond Green's costing Golden State. Aren't you tired of his antics? Even Steve Kerr said something about we're tired of his antics. But I'm going to tell you what I love about Draymond Green, Big C. When he gets into the fight, it's with his gloves off. Okay? Whether it's his attitude, whether he shows up to put his chest in the game. Sometimes he'll put his foot in the game, too, if that makes sense to you. LeBron knows what that means. But when you look at the way he plays defense, if Golden State ever talks about get rid of Draymond Green, they're going to become a team like what the Lakers have turned into last night. Draymond Green plays defense. He may not be the best scorer on any team, but find me one player in the league that takes off his gloves every time he gets to the ring on defense. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, the Lakers have nobody with the heart like a Draymond Green. He's been that way ever since he's fought his way into the NBA from being a second-round draft pick out of Michigan State. He's been the heart and soul of that Golden State Warriors organization, even during their championship run.
Yeah, he's a guy. You need a couple guys like him because they'll world championships, Big C. The Warriors needed everything that Draymond could muster. Green scored 2 late dunks. Think about that, Lakers. Up north by the Golden Gate Bridge, Green scored 2 more dunks late in the game to start the decisive final run and defended hard and found a way to go after loose balls, Big C. Closing minutes, Golden State scored 6 straight points to finally fend off Indiana. The Pacers did a good job trying to hang around, but Golden State prevailed 111-107 on Wednesday night. Malcolm Brogdon, Big C, led the Pacers 24 points, and Sabonis had 22 points and 16 rebounds, and for his 24th double-double of the season. So he also had a solid game, Big C. Your thoughts?
I mean, the Pacers play good ball. They were at home, Charlton, but the Warriors showed that they were road warriors last night in Indiana.
Yeah. You know one more thing I want to just touch on what Draymond did, because just my opinion. He takes a lot of flack from people in the Bay Area because he's mean and nasty on the court, Big C, and sometimes he talks things. He's like Drew Burdini Brown. He rumbles, young man rumbles. He's always trying to rumble. And if they didn't have his mentality, Golden State would have lost that game. I know they dropped the game to Charlotte earlier, last week, Big C, a couple of games ago, because he got a technical foul. But he was right when he got the foul. And it wasn't just the tee that he got. He's trying to tell his teammates, don't stand around watching me go for a loose ball. You get down here with me. That's just my opinion. I give Draymond Green the Big C burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with exotic meats. Big C, I want to go to the world of college football. And Draymond could play college football with his attitude. You think about black athletic directors. They keep fighting as they navigate the college athletic landscape. It's a slow change, Big C. You think about Alan Greene. I want your thoughts on this, Big C. Alan Greene is a black man. He's 43 years old. He's a native of Seattle, Washington, who played basketball, actually baseball at Notre Dame. And in the minor leagues, Auburn athletic director since 2018, Greene was named this month by the NCAA as a champion of diversity and inclusion. And you need a guy who acts like Draymond Green when it comes to negotiating, Big C. Don't be passive, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, when you think about him being down in the SEC, Charlton, he is an outlier when you look at him being down there, being a black athletic director in the southern part of the United States, leading one of the largest universities down there, Charlton, that has a great athletic program. But this is a rarity to have a black athletic director anywhere in the United States.
Yeah. And one more thing I want to say about Draymond Green. Because when Bill Laimbeer played defense like Draymond Green, the media was like, oh, he's so aggressive. He has so much passion. He really plays with the desire to win. Draymond, there's Draymond again, causing problems. No, Draymond plays like the Bad Boys from the 80s. They happen to win some world championships, and the Warriors championships also came with Draymond Green. It's all fair and love and war, Big C. Think about this. When you go back to football, a lot of his peers, he found himself, when you think about it, dealing with the social revolution. All that came about the same time that Maryland coach Mike Olowski, he started the National Coalition of Minority Football Coaches. I know my brothers over in Cairo, Egypt, they got to realize, why you guys got to fight for so much opportunity? You dominate the game. Well, I want them to keep following Big C Sports. They'll find out why, Big C. If you haven't heard, you will hear of this man. Only about 15%, Big C, of Division I athletic directors are African American. Only 11 of the current 130 FBS coaches are African American. That's like 8.4%, down from a high of 19 in 2011. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this is what we see as a racial divide in upper athletics in the United States. Whether it's the NFL, whether it's college football, Charlton, there is some reason that white universities and institutions do not want to hire black leadership, just like in NFL. Owners don't want to hire black leadership to run programs.
They got to get the mentality of Draymond Green. I know everybody wants to be nice, but I think about the great Bobby Knight, maybe the best coach they've ever had at the University of Indiana for basketball, maybe one of the top 5 coaches of all time. He was not nice, Big C. He made his point known. And if he didn't get what he wanted from his players, he chewed some backside. The late John Thompson was the same way. He did it with more love, but these guys were not passive. When they wanted something, they were demanding. People got to demand equal opportunity. So when you think about the numbers that I just gave you, about half the Division I FBS football players are African American. Half, Big C, more than half really. The figure is about 61% of the SEC conference, and that has won 11 of the last 15 national championships, mostly because they try to keep the Pac-12 out, Big C. But there are no black coaches in the SEC. I want my brothers from Cairo, Egypt to realize this. Could you imagine a conference that's dominated by African American men and yet no black coaches in the SEC, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, that's because of the region of the country that you're in, Charlton. You're talking about operating in Jim Crow states, and a lot of these states have high black populations.
Yeah.
This is the reason why they get such tremendous athletes, Charlton. A lot of these kids don't want to stray far away from home, and they end up matriculating into these SEC universities. But that's not a reason to keep black coaches from not having an opportunity to coach.
I agree. They need the Draymond. We need to call the Draymond Green or the Big C rule, Big C. You got to advocate for what you want. For the first time since 2015, no Power 5 schools hired an African-American head football coach this year. Only one. That's Charlie Huff. At Marshall, Big C, of the 15 FBS coaches hired, the most recent cycle was a black person. Well, actually, Boise State, Andy Avalos is Latino, but also a person of color. As a whole, athletic directors are usually somewhat conservative and corporate. The beauty, and this is what I want my white brethren to understand, and you guys in Cairo even understand it too. For white men, in my many of my close friends would tell me this. The beauty of white privilege in this society is that you don't even have to think about that. Relating to Michigan athletic director, his name is Ward Manuel, Big C. In the South, you know who don't like you. In the North, people are more polite. It's more hidden. People don't tend to voice their displeasure. They don't have Confederate flags in the back of their cars up north, but they do criticize people like Draymond Greene when you advocate for yourself. But if you don't advocate for yourself, you're never going to get anything, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charles, and I think many of these black men have advocated for themselves because they've gone on job interview after job interview and say, hey, we like you as a candidate, but we're not going to hire you. You did a story about that a couple days ago with NFL coaches, Charleston, black coaches going for interviews. Were they stamping the box saying, okay, we interviewed some black guys, now we're going to hire the guy that we intended to hire all along?
Yeah.
This is on every level of football, Charleston, whether you're looking at high school, college, or professional. When you talked about earlier that this is being conservative, these guys are conservative about the people that they want. They want to make sure that they have people that look like them, walk like them, and talk like them. This is the reason why you don't see an abundance of black coaches hired.
Yep, and I would say out on the West Coast, I think there's 4 African-American head football coaches, and they've been more open and more aggressive about it out here on the West Coast and even down south. But I think population-wise, the density of African-Americans is more dense in the South than there is out here on the West Coast. But I'm just telling you,
only 11 out of 130 FBS coaches
right,
that are African-American. Regardless of what part of the country they're in, it's only 11.
Yeah, but at the same time, 4 of those 11 are in the Pac-12. Also in Nevada, they have an African-American coach. So you can say maybe 6 men of color lead Division I programs in the United States, and 6 of those 11 are on the West Coast. That's a clue, Big C. It's a painful clue because the population of black Americans is more dense down south. But it's just about being able to advocate for it. That's why I love advocating on the Big C Sports Podcast. I want to take you to something that we touched on just a little bit yesterday, because I know we're coming up on March Madness, and it's something that I've loved when they would play Teddy Pendergrass and, you know, turning off this one shining moment, and the one shining moment's amazing. And I would love to see more people talk about the lack of diversity when it comes to opportunity, like Draymond Green being an advocate for it and not insulted. But I want to throw a couple of teams out there and just get your thought about some of the great programs that have had not just African-American coaches, but just great coaches in college basketball. If you look at the number 1 seat right now, pretty much everyone's consensus, I guess Jesuit University, the Gonzaga Bulldogs, Big C, they're rolling through the West Coast Conference with the number 1 seat in the country right now. I mean, they haven't played the tournament yet, but Mark Few's doing a good job. Number 2, the Baylor Bears probably are hopefully back off of the pause this week, Big C. The team that I really do like because they have the pedigree to get it done the second time around. It's the Michigan Wolverines. They had an impressive win over Ohio State, but I still think the stars are aligned for Gonzaga to get it done. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, the problem with Gonzaga is their schedule charted throughout the season. They're not playing a lot of top 10 schools, a lot of top 20 schools. But when you go across the country and you look at Michigan and you look at Baylor, they are playing schools, Charleston, that are in the top 10, top 20.
Yeah.
That bodes well for them when you get in the tournament. You have to play a lot of frequent games throughout the course of a 2-week span, Charleston. Gonzaga's been in this position for the last 10 years, and they've come up empty.
Yeah, they come up empty, but they do remind me of that Villanova with Rolly Massimino. Big C, they beat or upset John Thompson, Georgetown Hoyas. Georgetown, there was no reason for them to lose that game. But sometimes it's how a game is called. I just believe that in my heart, and they're on Sports Illustrated for a reason. They are a Jesuit school, Big C, and I believe that calls are made however they're made, Big C, and I believe Gonzaga's going to finish this year's national champion. But who do they remind you of? A team that was maybe a dark horse back in the day. I can't say Duke when they upset UNLV, because they were always a solid program. Duke was back then, and they still are now. But does that remind you, Gonzaga, if they get it done, kind of like Villanova back in the day, or maybe even Duke when they knocked off Jerry Tarkanian and the Running Rebels? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, no, this is a long run, Charleston, that it's going to take to get through the NCAA tournament. The athletes are a lot better now than what they were then. And like I said, I've seen this picture with Gonzaga for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
That they've come into the tournament highly ranked. But once they get up against stiff competition in every game, Charleston, It's a little different than playing in the West Coast Athletic Conference.
Yeah.
You said yourself, if they played in the Pac-10 every week or Pac-12, whatever it is, they wouldn't be undefeated.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. They got a lot of home cooking when you're playing BYU and Pacific and Loyola Marymount. It's all fair in Leavenworth. You also have Illinois coming in at number 5, Big C, Ohio State. They were close, and they were right in the back seat of Michigan, the Wolverines, but they still got beaten by Michigan. I really like Michigan's program. If Michigan can win the national championship, you think of what Howard played. This is alma mater, Big C. They had the Fab Five back in the day. Jalen Rose, Chris Webber. He was right there in the thick of things. And ironically, as we talk about the lack of men of color who dominate the positions, but have a hard time getting a chance to coach a game that they dominated, and imagine how they can recruit. Not everybody wanted him to be the coach at Michigan, Big C. I would think it would be hard not to find Michigan at least in the Final Four, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, they're going to have a tough road just through their own conference, Charleston, when you talk about Illinois and Ohio State.
Yeah.
Ohio State is even ranked in front of Michigan. But, when you think about Howard, he cut his teeth down there with the Miami Heat behind Eric Spoelstra on the bench as an assistant coach, and was able to get a job at his alma mater.
Yeah, able to get a job at his alma mater. And so I just hope that people can have opportunities. You got Villanova hanging out at 7, Oklahoma hanging out at number 8, Iowa, the Hawkeyes, at number 9, and then Alabama at number 10. How is Alabama coming in as a 10th ranked team in the country, Big C, when they go out and they do have a lot more paper bags in the arena that you can see now that people aren't allowed in? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, when you think about the SEC, they've made some deep runs in the tournament over the last 5 years. You had Auburn, you've had Texas A&M, now you got Alabama, and Tennessee also has made deep runs in the last 5 years.
Yeah, they have, Big C. West Virginia, Kansas. How does Kansas recruit, Big C? Well, you can see a dog run away from 5,000 miles. Is that what you said, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, you can see your dog run away for 3 days. They got the yellow brick road out there in Kansas. It's late to go.
When they asked the Wizard of Oz what he wanted in Kansas, he said more paper bags. It's all fair in Leavenworth. Creighton, number 13. USC Trojans. USC, the Trojans lost to Arizona at home. But still, I'm telling you, the Trojans should make some noise coming out of that Pac-12. UCLA, number 15. Think about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, what he saw with the Lakers last night up in Utah. Maybe the best athlete ever to play basketball at UCLA, Big C. And then what he's done in the NBA. And you know what he's done with the Lakers. He's the leading scorer in the history of the NBA universe. What does he think of seeing UCLA right back in the thing? They can climb the mountain, Big C. They can knock off a couple of teams, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, what he sees, Charlton, is not the talent that he saw when he played.
Yeah.
He's probably the greatest player to ever play college basketball, and also in the NBA. He will never get the credit for what he's achieved on both levels.
We talk about Howard at Michigan. I'm not saying that Kareem even wants a job as a coach, but Kareem had that mentality.
Oh, he tried to get a job in the NBA as a coach for 6 years.
Yeah.
No one would even give him consideration, Charlton, so he gave up on that dream.
That's what I was just going to say. You got to stop reading my mind, Big C. It's all fair in Leavenworth when you're doing that moonshine, but it's all fair. It's amazing and almost an insult for the brothers over in Cairo, Egypt, where the Nile, home of the Nile, Moses was floated down the Nile. Jesus even washed his foot in the Nile River. You have the best basketball player, the leading scorer in the history of the NBA universe, and he can't get a job in the sport. The most touchdown reception leaders in the history of NFL football, a black man, Jerry Rice, Big C. The home run leader in Major League Baseball is Barry Bonds. I mean, he's as an advisor, but they look past these guys that have been the very best that you could ever find in the history of the universe. What do people in Africa think about how black Americans here, you can be the best ever, Big C, and you still can't get a job, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, the reason why they hire so many backup white players to become head coaches in the league, Charlton, because they say they're students of the game. They spend time studying, watching the black superstars go out there and be great players. So they've learned the X's and O's by watching them and watching the coach on the sideline, so they felt that they were more ready to take over at the helm.
Larry Bird was given a head coaching job with Indiana, Big C, and even moved up in a higher position. But Kareem, no. Kareem has more championships. You can Google it. It's all fair and level more. I believe in talking about things because sometimes they come true, like that $100 million contract that I want to sign. If I'm Dak Prescott, sign it. You can always re-sign it later as you get better in life, improve yourself. But put that $100 million in the bank. Quit trying to get $105 million, if that makes sense. It's all fair in love and war. Big C, I love so much of what we're doing with the Big C Sports Show. I even heard the mothership have a ad said, "Rise and shine." Where have you heard that before? And quit stealing the universe. A lot of good old boys in Northern California are trying to do that too. Big C, I know it's been hot in California. I still hope the people of Texas are getting back on their feet. I want to make sure that we at least do our part to just thank everybody for doing a great job, especially all of our first responders, and making sure people get everything they need. Big C, back in the day, there's a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man, and he would always tell Ali, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, rumble, young man, rumble, with all you've got to use. How can you lose, Big C? What are you looking forward to in this sports universe?
Well, Charlton, I'm going to have to send the Lakers a goodwill package with some Band-Aids on there so they can keep licking their wounds. And Charlton, so once again, I want to thank our frontline healthcare workers, our nurses, doctors, first responders. They'll be there with some bandages to help the Lakers out.
Yeah. I'm stuck on Band-Aids because Band-Aids stuck on me. Rise and shine. Everybody rise and shine. You can rise and shine too every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide when you follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. As we always tell you, my mama always said there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. If you know any man, woman, or child going through that garbage, please pick up the phone and ask for help, because no man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.